Hello and welcome. In today's episode, I'm going to make a little guarantee, and that is by the time that you have finished this episode, you are going to want to get yourself into nature. And that is exactly what me and my guest did as soon as we recorded this. We ran straight down to the ocean and jumped in. And that's the effect that my guest, Dr. Sarah Brikke, will have on you. Sarah grew up in Africa. She grew up as a young girl, walking around barefoot, chasing snakes and spiders and elephants and just being in the thick of nature. And that inspired her to follow her passion, to follow her dream of being in nature, working in nature, and educating people about nature. So that's led her to Australia, where she is a ranger, where she has her own business, Healing with Nature, where she works with kids and parents and gets people out in nature, gets them connecting and gets them regulating their nervous system. In today's episode, we talk about her journey through motherhood. We talk about the impact of her beautiful son and how he inspires her and how much of a little nature boy he is as well. We talk about social media. We talk about phones. We talk about how to connect with your children. But most importantly, we talk about the positive impact that nature can have on your life. So I am so excited to share Sarah with you, and I will see you in the episode. Sarah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Emma. I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too. Me too. This has been a long time coming. We've been on many adventures together. And so I just want to start by asking you, what do you feel has been the biggest event or the most transformative time in your life that has led you to expand and to change and to transform?
Whew. um, I feel there's been so many, but as a woman, I feel that being a mother and giving birth to life to a beautiful child has been such a tremendously transformational and spiritual experience for me. So there's definitely a before and after Sarah, after this such a huge rite of passage in a woman's life. Yeah.
And can we talk about Noah? Because he's 10 now. Is he 10?
Oh, he's turning 9 next
Oh,
week.
9, sorry.
Feels like he's 16. But yeah, beautiful boy who's such a is still a child, but such a great master as well for me. So much learning through him, so much growth and upgrading every day, and learning on the way, and really trusting my intuition, my inner wisdom, all the women that has come through, and really tapping into that regularly. Like, how do women in the world deal with this? Like, surely I'm not the only one struggling with this, right? How, like, really tapping into that web of deep knowledge and inner knowing that we all have, and all the sisterhood that I can feel around me happening, but also seeking some responses in in the animal kingdom. How do animals cohabitate? How do they relate to each other? And that was specifically when Noah was a child, like how I was co-sleeping with him and breastfeeding and very much there all the time, like a little tribe. And I didn't read many books. I was just looking at the animal kingdom and tapping into the ancient civilization, like really coming back to simplicity. I guess that's what I want to say. um, he's bringing me a lot of um, consciousness in how to simplify my life, how to be more playful, how not to be doing my to-do list, and being in utter presence. And I think that's his love language as well, is quality time. And how can I tap into that on a daily basis? What does it even mean?
Mm.
And that's why I think he's such a great master, because he's teaching me, he's forcing me to do what I actually need myself.
An amazing mirror. He's
Yeah.
such a life force as well.
Yeah.
I really love, like, just over the last few years, just watching him grow.
Mm,
And also, I love one of the things that I love that you do with him is bringing him in when we are in circle or when it's all women, because obviously so many of our friends and sisters are around us, but you bring him into that space, into that
mm,
energy with like 12 women,
mm.
and he's just owning it, huh? I
He's
love it.
holding the masculine, holding the torch.
Yeah.
And I think that it has been a big thing for me, becoming a mother. Of course, my life has changed profoundly, but also it was so important for me to still be Sarah and not lose myself into that role. Or it was really like, how can we work together as a team? And I really want him to hang out, and I think being part of my tribe, being part of everything that I do. So yes, since he's tiny, I just brought him with me everywhere. And he's just part of conversations. Like, I'm amazed about, at dinner parties, said, so what do you think about this? Or like, and that created so much assertiveness and self-confidence, and being able to hold his self so strongly. Although he's a child, he has such a presence, right? And also so important for me to raise a child, a boy who's emotionally intelligent, who's very um, at ease being amongst women, at ease speaking about women's business, um, and also just because often I was one of the first ones to have a child in my women's circle, so he's kind of like the oldest of them all, and it's like, okay, no, like, you have to show the example, you're the elder here. Right? How can you hold space? How can you be kind? um and also, I've brought him not only in my social environment but also at work, which has been absolutely amazing. Being an outdoor educator and a ranger, just, come on, let's go in the buggy, let's go in the bush, and just with me all the time. And now he's actually creating programs with me. He's helping me with, what do we need for that program? What theme should we choose? And also on the day, facilitating some activities. So it's just so beautiful to see him thrive, um, next to me, um, doing that, right?
Mhm.
And seeing him in his little leadership as Ranger Noah, and doing face painting with charcoal with like 15 kids around him. And it's just really powerful to see that, and powerful to see how everything that he has learned the past nearly 9 years just shows up when he can flourish with other kids. So, yeah, really special to see that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I
Yeah.
remember, like, when we first started hanging out, I think one of the first nights that I hung out with you guys was Noah just educating me around wombats and the fact that they have square poos. Can you remember? And I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? And then I like looked at it and I was like, oh, actually, he's spot on.
Yeah,
So
he's 5 and he yeah.
yeah, he knows like what shape wombat's poo is. Like what? Like, so yeah, I mean, just incredible. So I mean, I guess obviously Noah has this incredible love of wildlife and nature, and I know that comes from you. So can you sort of tell me a little bit, because your background in your childhood was fascinating as well. Can you tell me a bit about growing up and where you grew up and what your life was like?
Yeah. And my childhood definitely influenced I guess the life choices that I did, and my studies and the work that I do today, and just my whole being. Um, so I grew up in Africa. When I was born in France, and when I was 2, my family moved to Kenya, and we stayed there for 6 years. And we lived on a coffee plantation for a couple of years on the outskirts of Nairobi. Um, so yeah, and we had a camper van, these old 70s combi van with the engine at the back that would just go on fire a lot. And we would just go like every holidays and most of the weekends in the national parks in Kenya, and camp at the base of the Kilimanjaro, and go to sleep with the lions roaring and the hyenas screaming. And I remember one morning waking up, I was sleeping on top of the driver and passenger seats, like in a little hammock bed. And I was maybe 5, and I was sleeping, and I opened my eyes looking at the window, and I see this huge eye looking at me with big eyelashes. Whoa, what is that? But it was a big elephant that was looking at me sleeping. So little things like that. And we used to go to see a place called the Daphne Sheldrake's orphanage. She's an English woman who's passed away now, unfortunately, but she dedicated her life um, to hold space and heal baby elephants and rhinos that were orphans due to illegal poaching of ivory. And she bought this huge piece of land and welcomed all these orphan animals and had some carers there. So we would often go and give milk bottles to the baby elephants and play football with them with their trunk, and tuck them away with little blankets in their beds. So amazing childhood memories. Hanging out, with the Maasai warriors very often, and just being amongst nature all the time, being barefoot all the time. And I think that really hit me hard, and that's just at the core of my essence, since very young. And now I actually use that analogy when I speak to conferences or keynote speeches, where I ask people to close their eyes first thing and think about what was a very special place in your childhood in nature where you would love to go.
Mm.
Like, bring yourself back to that place.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what was the feeling? Was it joy? Was it peace? Was it excitement? Was there any special smell of that place? And then knowing that that place, you can always come back to it in moments of stress, of overwhelm, of sadness,
Mm.
or when you're a bit lost. Just coming back to that space of peace, of joy, whatever it is in nature. And it's a really simple yet really profound exercise to do, because it's coming back to our roots, coming back to our early moments, early memories in nature, right? And that's a nice segue to bring me back to the love and importance, I think, of the job that I do, and the offering that I have, is how to bring people back to nature, how to create this sense of awe and wonder and love for nature, because once it's there, it's like a tattoo. It's there always.
Yeah.
Um, So how to create that with kids? That's why I love to work with kids. Since 25 years, I've been working with kids all around the world, doing nature play and free play and art to create that sense of awe, wonder, curiosity, and love.
Yeah. And what kind of transformations, like when you are, say, working with a group of kids or adults, or really getting people out in nature, what do you see, or what do you feel transforms in people when they're in nature?
Whew, so much. And the beauty is that it's available to all, no matter your age, no matter your ethnicity, your race, your gender, your religion, your physical abilities. It's there for everyone. And I really love that it's so inclusive and open and available to all. And I've seen the most little changes or really profound things that would happen. One example that still gives me goosebumps is I did a nature therapy session with a group where people had limited mobility, and this person was in a wheelchair since many, many years. And we did a session together, and at the end, we had a closing circle and saying, "No, how do you feel different from the beginning and end of the session?" And this person said, "I forgot I was in a wheelchair."
Wow. Oh, I just got full goosebumps.
And I still have tears in my eyes, like everyone was bawling their eyes. And it's so simple, Emma. It's just coming back to being connected to our breath, connected to ourselves, our body, our senses, expanding our senses, which is such a gift that we have. Um, Connecting to nature, disconnecting from all the noise and the worry. And our ancestors used to do this so much more, and we've forgotten that. And it's so much more deep than just being in nature. It's actually connecting to source,
Mm.
connecting to our
So if you were
ancestors, connecting to the medicine that we are, the medicine that the environment is.
Yeah.
So that was really profound, but also with children and their families, for example, there's so much joy. Like, oh, I can be naughty and play in the mud and, climb trees and do stuff with nothing, using what we have just right here. Let's make a shelter with sticks that we can find and create magic together, and enhancing our imagination, teamwork, taking risks, right? And I feel that working with children is also not only educating them or facilitating them or opening up the path for them, but also educating the parents. Like saying to them, why are you saying be careful? Like, or saying no. Like, is there another way we can say, oh, do you think that that's a good choice to put your feet there? Right? It's like, it's not only being with the child, but also it's the whole family. Like, it has such a ripple effect.
Mm.
Especially nowadays, I feel with children with there's so much screen time, indoor time. Children are so much more stressed and obese and anxious and completely addicted to screens. Like, it is our role as parents, as aunties and grandpas and uncles and grandmas, to be leaders and role models. Like, let's go out. Let's go out and play. Let's go to the beach. Let's go to the bush. Let's go in the park. And not be, I call it lazy parenting, where you just put them in front of a screen. And it's actually so much easier. It takes effort to go outside and to actually be present and play. And so I'm really seeing that happening a lot.
Mm. What's your kind of concern with that? Like, if you do have concern, obviously a lot of things have changed. Like you said, screen time's up and it's an
Mm.
easier option. I mean, where do you see that leading to if parents aren't making that choice to be with their kids in nature?
Well, there's this author called Richard Louv. He's quite famous. He wrote the book Nature Deficit Disorder. And it's actually a book that influenced and inspired me to do a PhD in environmental education. I looked at the benefits of nature and children, and I looked deeply at um, why is it important for children to be in nature, and what are they missing out when they're not in nature? And and my concern from the experience that I've had as an outdoor educator and doing extensive doctoral research on that topic is that children will not have social skills anymore. They will not know how to be brave and make new friends, how to initiate conversations, how to hold their space and deal with maybe, you know, confronting feedback or deal with their emotions. So that's one of the concern. My other concern is children get bored really easily now because there's this with screens, it's this constant feedback loop, right? Excitement and addiction. And my concern is that children would lose this sense of awe and wonder and peace and curiosity of just sitting down, even lying down in a hammock and looking at the clouds. I used to do that all the time. Just
Yeah.
chill out, just hang out, relax, and also taking care of their nervous system, right? Quiet time and not being like feeling unease or uncomfortable being quiet without any sound, without any stimulation. That's a big gift now for our children.
Mm.
My other concern is on a physical level that I know my child is have so much energy, and if my child stays indoors, it's just like cabin fever. It's just not it's not positive for anyone, and just the importance of children to be active and move and be creative and just expanding their energy and canalizing their energy in something positive, right? Teamwork when they play as a team, playing soccer or if it's tennis, knowing how to control their own strength. And yeah, and also another thing that I'm concerned about is this whole wonder and imagination world that children have, and they're so connected to the divine, especially in the first septennial. Like, how to still tap into that such spiritual, awakened, opened space in which they are, and not polluting it with screens and outdoor stimulation.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's a tricky one, because it requires a lot of um, consciousness and boundaries and presence as a parent and
Mm.
role modeling. Like there's no time for bullshit. It's like it's all in. Like if I'm telling him to stop watching screens, I should be watching my phone either.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the thing when you see all of these experiments that they do now, and they show you when like a parent is playing with their kid, they are just so engaged. The child is just so happy, and then they show the same child who is looking, sorry, the same adult who is looking at their phone, and the first thing the kid wants to do is come around and like look over their shoulder and look at it because they're like, well, I just want to do what you're doing. I just want to be with you. I'm going to mimic you. So this is the thing. It's like, I think, yeah, and hats off to parents. It's a big job, right? But it's like, I think we all need to be paying attention. We can't be telling 15-year-olds to get off their phone while we're coming in from work, and like the first thing we're doing is looking at our phones as well. It's we're models for that generation, and kids are going to look to their parents, for guidance of what to do.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. Well, I mean, what advice, I guess, would you have as somebody who obviously is in this area, who works with families so much, works with kids so much in this space? Like, what advice do you have for parents moving forward, to help them create these imaginative, beautiful imaginations and let them run wild?
Um, well, I guess, I could be organizing a weekend away, go camping, or just stretching out of our comfort zone. Because as I said, the children are our masters, and often it can be uncomfortable to do things that we're not used to be doing, and that's totally okay. It could be joining, if you have young children, joining a nature play group, nature schools. There's so many around.
Mm,
Um, looking for some ideas on how to do nature play,
mm,
nature art. And it can be, the thing is that it's so simple. It can just be, going in the park and kicking the ball with them. It can be going on a bushwalk or going for a swim, and then, if there's a rock pool, just looking at all the magic that's happening in those little pools. And I guess our role as parents is really tapping into our inner child as well, and playfulness and curiosity as well. It's like when a child shows you a butterfly or something they found, it's like, oh wow, did you see that? Look at the colors. Look at how many legs it has, and really coming from a inquiry place, right? Um, so I guess, being curious ourselves as well.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, it's
have to.
like just this mirroring back. And as I said, it's not complicated. You can find things to do. These things are right there. Often as parents, we think, oh, they need this toy, they need to be enrolled in this class and pay heaps of money. They have agendas and schedules like a president every week.
Mhm,
Like, no, they need downtime. They need time in nature. They need to relax. Bring a book, bring a hammock. Um, Back to simplicity.
mm.
Always.
I have to admit, like, not having children of my own, but whenever I spend time with kids, there is something really grounding that I experience with them. Like, I feel really present with kids. It's almost like they pull me out of my head, and it's just like, just be here and just be with me and just play with me and like let's have fun. They're just so conscious, aren't they? And
Mm,
I think
mm,
that's what it feels like, that is what is being lost
mm,
with, these incredible technologies that we have. I'm very grateful for them all, but it's like, it feels like it's tipping over into that like danger zone, where it's like that consciousness, that presence, that beautiful grounding energy that kids have, and that playful energy is being kind of pulled out. It's leaky energy almost.
mm. And
Yeah.
also, it can be, I really love to work with senses as well, and using natural elements for that. It can be, there's so much benefits even, before going to bed. Why not going for a little stroll on the beach, or having a little swim in the ocean, and being barefoot on the ground? It can be really that simple.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
can we teach them by role modeling some tools to be grounded and earth,
Mm, yeah, yeah.
without even telling them? It's just, all right, don't need your shoes. Let's take our shoes off. Can you feel the grass? Can you feel the mud? Or oh, how nice is the ocean? And let's ask the ocean to clear all our worries of the day, and so that we can sleep well. And using all these elements, all these tools bit by bit that we have as adults, and embodying that into them in a very gentle way. Yeah. And
Yeah.
also, I feel it's really important to see them as um, intelligent beings, like conscious beings. They're children, but they're wise. And I've really tried to come from that place as much as I can. Like when I talk to them, like, kneeling down and being at the same level as them, um, and talking to them as somebody wise, and
Mm.
not top down, I know everything and you don't know anything. It's more like, let's work together, let's be silly together, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you definitely do that. I think every time I'm with you, that we just giggle a lot. You've got very playful, like, you're so grounded. I find you so grounded, but you also have this like mega mischievous side, which I love because I can be a bit serious sometimes. So it's really, I always have a very playful, like when I think about you, I think about giggling. Like that's what I think of with you. I'm always
Yeah.
like, oh, there's just there's always I'm always like, what, so you definitely embody, yeah, I think this grounded, wise wisdom, but
Mm.
you also have this really beautiful playfulness to you, which I adore as well. Um, one question I haven't really asked, because we've been talking obviously so much about nature and we've been talking about the benefits and everything, but like, how would you describe what you actually do? Because you've come from this incredible childhood in Africa, in nature, you study PhDs. I know you're a doctor now. And but can you describe to me what do you do? What do you facilitate?
Sure. So I do have many hats. I used to be an outdoor educator for many years, teaching children outdoors, biology, science, geography, excursions in the bush and next to the ocean for many years. And I also created my business called Healing with Nature, where I facilitate nature therapy session, or Shinrin Yoku, forest bathing, where I bring people in nature, so they're nature immersions to help people disconnect, to reconnect to themselves, to nature, and their community. So I do that around Sydney, which is such a beautiful offering, for adults mainly, teenage adults. And I'm also NDIS registered provider, and an ecotourism business. Another thing that I do with Healing with Nature is also nature play with children during the school holidays, and nature birthday parties as well. That's really fun. Another work that I do as well, I work at the government, New South Wales government, and I'm a learning leader, and I lead a portfolio of many different community programs, in a beautiful garden where we create programs, um, like for well-being. How can we talk about our living collection and science as well? So yeah,
Yeah, just
every day in nature, every day.
well, we were talking about this before we started recording as well, because we were talking about your business Healing with Nature, but also reflecting on really that is who you are.
So that's been really such a beautiful insight that I had, um, this year, and this morning as well, having a chat with a friend. Um, I think when we are deeply into our offering, um, having a business, when it's really authentic, what we do goes beyond when we work. It's who we are. It's the life that we lead. It's what we eat. It's what we see, what we choose not to hear, not to look at. It's the choices that we make every day. And that's our life is a reflection of who we are and our values and the offering that we have to have in the world. And it doesn't have to be, smack up in your face, the shiny, bright thing. It's just this consistent presence and authenticity that you can feel. You can feel it when you see someone, when you're in the presence of someone. You can feel when it's authentic or not, right? When they breathe and live what they preach. And I feel that looking life in this way is so much more simpler. Sorry. It's instead of seeing myself with all these different responsibilities and roles that I have, it's still there, but the essence is just so grounded and there. Like, I'm not someone different at work or in my relationship or as a parent. I am Sarah. I am, the offering that I bring is who I am and what I do in all these areas. And that creates so much peace, so much freedom, an ability and capacity to expand and be true to myself, to be honest with myself. And I don't know, it's just a way of being. It just makes so much sense and everything flows so much easier. There's no pressure, there's no forcing. I feel that when I'm in that space, whatever I would be doing, whatever choice I'm doing, are in harmony with all the rest that is happening.
Yeah.
It's as if, when you decorate your home or when you, I don't know, put a beautiful artwork together or a puzzle, if your choices are deeply authentic and aligned with who you are, although there's differences, it will all make such a beautiful art piece. I'm thinking even about clothes, the clothes that you choose. If they're in your essence, whatever you put on is going to go together.
Yeah.
Because the essence is there. Because that's
Yeah.
an easy example to keep in mind.
Yeah.
And it creates so much peace. Like visually, it's like,
Yeah.
of
The
course it
whole thing.
matches. Of
Yeah.
course. Because it comes from source. It comes from me. And it feels good. That's the important thing. If it feels good, doesn't matter what what they think, what they don't like, doesn't matter. It feels good for me.
Yeah. That is a beautiful place to be. Like, just to embody all of that and radiate it out in every area, and just to be that person for, your partner, for your son, for your business, for your work, for your friends. What has it taken for you to get to this place?
A lot. It's not easy. It's not an easy work. I will not lie. I will not lie. It's not easy at all. Difficult relationship, super complicated breakups, moments of deep darkness, deep sadness, of feeling completely broken and overwhelmed and stressed and lost. But there's this inner voice and this deep knowing that, I should have trusted my intuition and my light.
That's big.
Because you know when you know. You know it.
Yeah. Now you
And
know what you already knew.
now you know what you already knew.
Yeah.
And I think that life brings us to difficult situations because we are capable to deal with them.
Mhm. Doesn't feel like it at the time. My
It
God.
doesn't feel like it, but it's like, wow, like looking back, whew, like I often, and still now I'm still, it's this ongoing healing work. I'm still, looking back at some situations, and I just hug the Sarah from back then that needed that hug, saying I'm so sorry to have made that decision, or I'm so sorry that you had to go through that,
Mhm.
but I forgive you because that was the best that you could in that moment. That was where you were in that moment.
Yeah.
So I forgive you and I thank you and I love you so much. And that, I think, has been one of the most profound ways for me to deal with many difficult situations. It's like, how can I love myself better and more? How can I forgive myself? How can I be grateful? And how can I say I'm sorry and really being honest with me, right? Um, and
Yeah.
also not being afraid of going into, dark, dark places and looking at my shit and being honest. We're not perfect. How did I contribute to this relationship that was toxic? What was my role in there? And just letting my ego down and not, projecting everything on the other person is, how am I responsible for that?
Mhm.
And I feel with time, there's been more maturity to deal with conflict resolution. There's been more ownership of my shit, but also being quite, this is my boundary. Like, this is where, up till where it goes. And then it's too much. And then it's like, no, this is not happening.
Mm.
And being very clear about that. And sometimes there are decisions that are really hard with a lot of consequences on multiple levels. And that's okay. That's okay to take those decisions, because it's just a point where it's like, no, no, this is
Yeah.
not happening. And I guess throughout the years, it's like really using the tools that I have gained. How can I use that for myself? And how can I bring all the times I gave my power to someone, to a situation, to a place, how can I bring that back to me? How can I come back home to my heart? How can I hold my hand? How can I be my best friend, right? And knowing that I always, always have my back, that my well-being, my mental health, my joy and happiness doesn't depend on anything exterior than me or anyone.
Mhm.
That I am my medicine. Like, stop looking outwards. I am my medicine. I am supported, deeply always supported by the universe, deeply supported by source, by nature. And how can I use that, like my body, as a portal, as a channel, whatever you want to call it? How can I use that to alchemize and transform what needs to be transformed? And really deeply feeling that I'm supporting on all levels all the time. And a big thing for me was to learn how to relax and not be into this masculine energy, like bulldozer, to-do list, and ba 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 ba, constantly doing something, overworking, overachiever, which I have been for so many years. How to step out of that a little bit
How
And
did
yes, I
how
yes, I
did you
needed to be a warrior. Yes,
Mhm.
get out of situations and and have a better life and future. But now, how can I be a peaceful warrior? And stepping into my feminine and stepping into receiving and more softness and trust. Because I saw that when I am in that space of rest, of being at peace, of not having to do anything, I receive even more.
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. But I also know there could be people listening who have found themselves in a situation, kind of like you went through, right? As a single mum, it's like all of a sudden you're kind of, you're paying the bills, you got to go to work, you're paying the rent, you've got to take care of Noah, you're getting him to school. Like when you look back at yourself, like then, in those early days and that kind of, I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, more of a survival mindset and being in that masculine energy, like how, what advice would you have for somebody who maybe is in that situation right now where they're like, well, I can't stop. Like if I stop, it all falls to pieces, it all falls, I'll lose the house, my kids won't have food, how, what advice from where you are now can you give to people in that situation?
And look, I still feel I'm in that space. But I think it's also a mindset like life still continues, right? Still have to pay the bills, still have to bring the kids to school and pack up the lunchbox and deal with tantrums and everything. Life continues, but I feel it's my mindset and the way I deal with stress has changed. And I feel that being more organized has helped me tremendously. Meal planning, like I'm going to do my little menu for the week, which I used to never ever do. I find it the most boring thing in the world to do, but it's actually helping me so much. So I feel that being more organized has helped me tremendously, not
Mm,
to stress myself or my child and have a more like flow during the week. But also now I make it a priority to have time for me, whether it's 10 minutes in the ferry listening to my meditation, whether it's before going to bed thinking about the day that I had and being grateful for three things. And I feel that just by doing that, my capacity to deal with all the things that I have to do doesn't feel overwhelming anymore.
mm,
And I also, use even making the dishes, I seeing like a meditative practice. How can I be present in everything that I
mm,
do and see it like something sacred? And that was one of I don't know if you remember, Emma, but for my 40th birthday, that was my prayer, like bringing sacredness every day. And it makes life so much easier and beautiful. Although I have to work full time, I have a kid, blah, 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 blah. Everything that I have to do doesn't change. It's there. But it's my way of living my life on that daily basis.
mm. Yeah.
How can I create those little moments of beauty, of connection, smelling a beautiful flower, looking at the sunset, feeling the wind, my skin, using my senses, dropping in. And during the day, one tip can be throughout the day, a couple of seconds, I close my eyes, I connect to my heart, to my womb. How do I feel right now and what does my body need? Reset. Okay, let's go to that meeting.
Mhm. Yeah. Because I think what I feel actually I'd probably say with you like over the last like 12 or 14 months, a massive thing that I've seen shift in you is just a lot of presence. Like, I
Mm,
feel like you've been really present, like you've been really grounded, and maybe that has been bringing in that sacredness each day. I feel like you're really, yeah, you just feel really grounded, really
mm,
calm. And I know it's not always like that, but I
mm,
think that obviously that intention for your 40th birthday, that's bringing sacredness in, slowing down, and your deep connection to nature. I do feel there's just been a big shift
mm,
with you, like in a really, still mischievous and naughty and funny. But it's been really nice just to see you be like more present. And I think that for me, that is something that I'm still working towards. My
mm,
mind's still a little bit like, "Oof," and I'm
mm.
maybe not in the practice so much. So that's a really good reminder for me.
Thank you, lovely. And I think it's, to be in that space and also being, spiritual beings that we all are, doesn't mean, you have to meditate and be dressed in white all the time. It's not about that. It's about really the work of every day. Like, how do I take care of myself on an everyday basis? How do I take care of my nervous system? What can I
Yeah,
do?
that is
And it can
huge.
be, and we've been on that path, going on a Ayurveda lifestyle, and how to embody that, how to use the plants for the my self healing, how to feed myself better.
Hmm.
Sleep, they're like basic. I sleep much more now. I go to bed earlier. The
Mm.
quality of the sleep, quality of food, quality of, what I put in my ears when I listen to something. Like, it's just this such a broad hygiene of life. And it's a dedication, it's consciousness in whatever I do. They're choices that I make. Um, Events that I go to, invitation that I receive, which ones do I want to go to? Like, how does it feel to go and see that person? Or do I want to watch the news because that creates a yucky feeling in me? Which, when I wear something, how does it feel on my body? Like, it's once you open that world, that inner world of well-being and feeling good, is just so expansive.
Mm.
And you can start small and it's beautiful, and then, like, oh, why don't I try that? And the beautiful thing, Emma, that I found is that I know that when I'm not grounded, when I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I can see a straight consequence on my environment. My
Hmm.
child is more stressed, my child is more like edgy. And when I am grounded, when I am calm, when I had time for myself, even just 10 minutes, it has such a ripple effect on everything.
Mm.
It's actually a gift for ourselves, but also for everyone else around us and for the world. So if you see it like that, it should be a daily priority.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to put it now in my calendar. From this time to that time, this is a date with myself. And it's not negotiable. It's there. And it's not before. I used to, like, oh, I'm going to slot it in when I have a little bit of time, like when my child is asleep and I'm finished the dishes and prepped everything for the next day, and then I'm exhausted. No, no, no. It's in the prime time of the day.
Hmm.
This is me. I'm the priority. And I
Yeah.
feel that as women, as mothers, as business owners, as women in general, we do not put ourselves as a priority.
Yeah. I would say that is probably one of the biggest things that I see with the women that I work with, is that it's like there's just no time for them. They just don't know how to prioritize themselves, and myself included. I've been on that journey and I'm still going through it, where you just I think as women, we just have this capacity for so much and to give so much. But we really have to remember to give to ourselves first. Just like you
Mm,
said, when I'm grounded, when I'm centered, when I've had that 10 minutes for me, the ripple into your life, like with Noah, with your, other things, like that is something that we all have to remember, I think, every day
mm,
is like, oh, I get to show up. I get to be the best. I
mm,
get to create this ripple of consciousness and
mm,
groundedness and presence and love and fun because I'm actually nurturing and healing myself.
mm. And not feeling guilty about it.
Mm,
Because I know I've been in the trap where, oh, I should be doing the washing, I should be cooking, I should be doing this, and actually not being able to relax
mhm,
at all because
mhm.
of da, 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 da.
Yeah.
It's actually a practice like being at peace, being at peace. It's like I'm being like, how can I be my own project? How can I preach? How can I embody my values so that it's not just talking? It's how can I embody the medicine that I'm preaching or that I'm facilitating to myself? How can I be really true to myself? How can I be my own project and medicine? How can I see myself as a sacred being worthy of peace, worthy of rest, worthy of love? And that's such a huge journey and I'm still on it, but it's nourishing coming back home.
Mm,
It's so incredibly profound. Like I used to escape times of being alone with myself. I admit it. Always busy, doing this, going there, social life. And it was escaping something
mhm,
I didn't want to look at. And now I cannot wait to be in my presence. And it's
mhm.
such a profound feeling
Yeah.
to be able, and it doesn't come from a space of ego and loving yourself in that space. It's like, welcome back. You know, I love you so much. Like being in awe of our body. And I feel that there's a lot of work there around sensuality, around what does it mean for me to be a woman? You know, what, like being in awe of the body that I am, that I carry. Like, thank you, feet, for having danced so much. Thank you for walking these amazing countries and paths. Like, thank you to my room for having created life and all these projects. Like, I feel coming from that space of awe and love and wonder and curiosity, not only for nature, but for just this amazing mystery and gift that we are.
Mm,
There's no room to make choices that are not good for you anymore.
yeah. Yeah. And I love like what you were saying as well, just about because like coming home to yourself and having that awe and wonder, I do think that comes from being present. That
Mm,
comes from you. I would love to know anyone who has awe and wonder when they're in anxiety, right? Or when they're like, when their nervous system is jacked and they're racing around and, so that awe and wonder comes from being present, I believe. So, in terms of how nature and healing with nature, how do you think that nature helps you to get to that place, to get into presence?
where there's so many research that has been done, um, like scientifically, it has been proven that being amongst trees and breathing in and out the essential oils of the trees actually reduces our cortisol levels, which are stress levels. We sleep better. our immune system is boosted, um, just general well-being. Our nervous system is stable. There's so many research that has been done, especially in Japan, and that's where Shinrin-yoku was born and expanded, to show this to the world, right? Like, I mean, who feels good after being in nature? Hands up, right? It's a no-brainer. It's a
It's
no-brainer.
so good. Yeah.
But human beings in our modern society, they need data and research to prove things, but let's just tap into our bodies. How do I feel when I see a sunrise on the beach?
Magic.
Magic. How do I feel when I dive into the ocean? And it's really simple and it's
Mhm.
very sensorial. It's I feel when I do my sessions, Emma, I work a lot on the senses. How can we expand our capacity to hear? How can we expand our capacity to smell, to taste, to see, to touch? We do that by slowing down, actually. It's not about, nowadays we'll have our like smartwatches and we count our many steps and calories that we've burnt. It's all about competition and data and being better than the other one, and actually we don't need that. We're here together. Let's slow down. By slowing down, we notice more. By slowing down, we can see more things and we can be in awe, right? And there's so many research now being done on grounding, like walking on with your bare feet on the ground. I just bought a grounding sheet and a grounding little thing to put in my office. I sleep so much better, like insane. Even in the office, I feel less, my eyes are less strained. I'm super concentrated. Like it is a thing.
Mm.
It is a thing.
Mm.
Um, I had, for example, during COVID, we did a few walks, and one of the ladies that came was head of nurse in one of the hospitals, and she had been working 24/7 for many days, and she came, and you know how some people do not know how to relax or how to
Mhm.
wind down,
Mhm.
and I could sense that like buzzing, and oh, I feel a bit weird, like talking to a tree, and what is that? And it's like an invitation to come out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
to be brave, to test something new, but also to tap into the magic that we have right here. And this woman just completely melted on this rock, and had a rest for maybe 10 minutes, and deeply, deeply connected and dropped in so deeply. Like we had to wake her up. And she woke up and she said, I had never been able to relax as much and drop in as much as
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
People need that
Oh,
to learn how to do that again. Um,
it's kind of unlearning, right? It's almost
Unlearning.
like unlearning the pattern that stress and high performance and go,
Yes.
go, 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 go
Yes.
is normal. And it's like even that woman that you just described, her her wiring was so jacked that for her to even lay down for like 10 minutes, I mean, she must have just been exhausted for her to fall asleep.
Yes, I've got a beautiful website made by a friend of us. So it's healingwithnature.com.au. I've got an Instagram page, healing underscore with nature. So yeah, feel free to reach out. I do a couple of events around here, groups, and also one-on-one. So yeah, would love to connect with you if that's your call. And
Amazing. And
thank you
can I?
so much, Emma, for the opportunity to share this with you. And you've been such a incredible pillar, like really beautiful sister, and has been really amazing to see our journey since about 5 years together, and seeing how much we've gone through quite difficult times, and epiphanies, and so much healing. And it's always such an honor to be able to be amongst women that are badass, that do the work. And I'm so proud of all my sisters who are willing to do the work, and willing to be vulnerable and authentic, and go deep, and look at their shit, and move through it, and rise from that, and then not only helping themselves but helping others too, and
Mm,
showing up, and not being afraid of having the difficult conversations. So deep honoring to you, Emma, as well. And thank you so much for all the work that you've been doing for your community, for being such a pillar and solid rock for us all as well. Um, so yeah, deep honor of your journey as a woman, as with all the ebbs and flows of life that you've gone through. And um, yeah, I'm so glad that we have, been, on this journey together, and being authentic and vulnerable, and crying, and laughing so much. And yeah, it's really amazing to see where you are now, and I'm so proud of you.
yeah, I'm so proud of you too. I just love you so much, and I'm so grateful for you and yeah, the gifts that you bring just for being you, and the gifts that you share. And yeah, I'm just really grateful to have witnessed your expansion and the wild, crazy ride that we've been on for 5 years. It's just been so beautiful just to see the ebbs and flows of all of us, really, right? But yeah, I'm super grateful for you. I'm really happy for where you are right now in your life, and it really speaks. Your energy is just radiating where you are right now, and yeah, I hope lots of people find your work. And I just wish you, I mean, I'll see you over the weekend, but in life, I just wish the absolute best for you. I really
Thank
do.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
I love
you.
you so much.
I love you.
Mwah.
Wow.
Thank you, sister. See you
You're very
soon.
welcome. See you very soon.